It is going to be very traumatic, undoubtedly. But of course, as a family, you need to and you want to hear the truth of what happened to your dear father.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to each and everyone in the studio of Salam Radio as well as to your listeners. Thank you very much for hosting me this morning. Yesterday, we are a bundle of nerves. Firstly, I would like to, it's important that I need to say that by the Haron family having had the inquest reopened, this is not an act of revenge. Please, to your listeners, I just need to set the record straight. It's very important that I need to explain this part of it before I continue. This is not an act of revenge. This is an act of wanting justice. Justice to find peace, not only for ourselves as a family, but for the entire nation of South Africa to learn from the legacy and the memory of our beloved father. This is in terms of, we want to set the record straight in having the facts in front of us. So what are the facts of the 1970 inquest? When on the morning of the 27th of September of 1969, my father was found dead in his cell at the Maitland police station. The autopsy then revealed that he had 26 bruises and broken ribs. Then in the 1970 inquest, the police claimed that the bruises my father had was because of a fall down the stairs. A magistrate at that particular time ruled that no one can be held responsible for his death. So, for your listeners, if you want to reflect, if any of your parents, father or mother, came home with 26 bruises, broken ribs, the staircase is not a long staircase, it's about 5 or 4 steps. You will certainly question if the body comes home in a body bag. Why? Where did the bruises come from? Obvious to us at the time, it was indeed torture. My father was murdered and he was tortured to death. And for us now today, it's very historical, not only for ourselves again as a family, but for the entire country, for the future generations of South Africa, for them to learn from the legacy and the memory, for them to learn from this inquest. We want, as a family, what we want out of this particular inquest is for Judge Tulare to overturn the findings of the inquest of 1970. That's very important. That's paramount. That for us, we need to set the history record straight. If in the far future, young men and women are going to be doing some kind of research on the life and the legacy of Imam Haron, it shouldn't be, in conclusion, that he died because he fell down a flight of stairs. Oh no, it should be in conclusion in terms of what the findings will be within these 2 weeks. It's very important historically, not only for us to gain as a family, but for the entire nation and for the world to learn from this particular inquest. I mean, we have witnessed over a period of time, we've witnessed the Timor case, we've witnessed the kind of fall, the Semalani case. I mean, nobody was held accountable. In our case, in our matter, the perpetrators are no longer alive. They are dead. Yes, but their family is still alive. We are alive. And again, to the listeners, please, as Muslims, we always say we live in Allah's hands. Of course, we leave everything in Allah's hands. But if we need to overturn, we must make right with our tongue. So if we want justice and truth to be heard, we need to deal with it through our tongue. So this way of having it in the High Court in Cape Town, starting as of today, it is important to note that this will go down historically, inshallah, in the near future, inshallah. Once the 2 weeks is over, of course, there will be a recess, and we probably find the verdict will probably come out sometime in January or February. But I am a bundle of nerves. My
Take a
family,
deep breath, Fatima. The entire nation's support and
Mm.
dua is behind the Haroon family. So just take a deep breath.
Right.
Just remember what I'm saying to you now. We are all behind you, waiting, watching,
Shukran.
and listening. And inshallah, we also make dua. The outcome is going to be as
Mm.
is expected by the Haroon family. So just know, just forget, overcome those nerves. We are with you. Salam Media and the rest of the Muslim nation and the country is behind the Haroon family. And we share and suffer with you as well in your pain. And as you as a family wanting closure, so do we. Now, I need to ask
Um,
you this question, Fatima. You have mentioned this, but let's just go over it again. Those implicated in your dear father's murder at the time believed themselves to be above the law and untouchable. Also, sadly, those security branch personnel responsible for your dear father's interrogation and consequently his death have also since died, taking their direct involvement, the absolute truth with them to the grave. How do you feel about that?
well, in this case, through the National Prosecuting Authority, the Human Rights, and our lawyers, Weber Wenzel, they have done research. And one of the things I must share with you is that, you know, there are, although the perpetrators are no longer alive, we have hope because there are evidence that can overturn this entire matter. Evidence, in fact, that led to the fact that he had been tortured to death. Evidence
Mm.
in terms of when while my father was in incarceration, for the benefit of your listeners, he fasted for the entire 123 days. He never just
Ya
fasted
Allah.
while he was in prison. He took an oath when he was a teenager to fast every Monday and Thursday. So, from a spiritual sense, his connection with the Almighty Allah was there already. It existed already far beyond his years when he became Imam. Although he was young when he died, 45 years old, he was 30 years old when he became Imam. But as you know, his consciousness, his religious consciousness towards his Almighty was there, it existed. So during the time of his incarceration, he fasted. So every every day, my mother was able to send him a fresh set of clothes as well as his soup. He was a sweet tooth, so he loved his chocolate, his sweet, his biscuits, and his coffee. He loved coffee. But just a few days before the 27th, my mother got the instruction from one of the security branch that came to the house, and I said to her that no longer must she send any fresh clothing, nor any food. And she questioned them why, and they threatened her. You know, during that period, people have lots of fear, and especially now when my father was incarcerated, my mother found herself completely alone and isolated. So obviously, you will listen. You won't go up against him because you are fearful of what the possibilities
Mm.
is that might happen to your loved one in prison. But what he did was, I must share this with you, he managed to write letters out of prison where he got a red pen. Allah Alam, Allah knows best. You know, I still question it. I wonder where he got a pen. But what he did was how he managed to smuggle, I would say, get the letters out of prison during that period. And people that are older will know this. When there was like you used to call it a flask, and then they had the inside and the outer that could separate. So he took the biscuit paper that from the chocolates or from the biscuits, and he wrote on there. So he wrote a letter to my mother. He wrote a letter to my sister Shamila. At that time, she was 18 years old, but she lived in England. Just a few months after she went to London, he was arrested. And then he wrote a letter to her, and he wrote also a letter to the late Barnett Desai. So he wrote the killing of the Imam. So
Mm.
what is very, very significant in all three of these letters, he could, okay, for my mother, obviously, as a husband, he didn't want her to worry too much, but this will all be unpacked during the inquest, of course. He wrote a letter to my mother, which was kind of personal, but it will now become public. And then a letter to my sister. And in that letter, there is some significant uh, um, uh, writings or notes in the letter that the public will hear. Then, of course, there was the letter to the late Barney Desai, and in that letter, he writes to Barney, and he gives certain code names to say, I'm saying it now in English, don't trust that one because he will sell you out. Don't trust anyone. Barney, I won't divulge any information. I will be honorable until my death. I won't divulge the word. So my father was physically challenged. He was emotionally challenged by being tortured, but he had a consciousness that you really find. And I think all our martyrs that have been tortured to death, that have died along the way, there's a specific consciousness, a connection you have between yourself and God Almighty alone. And he had that undying consciousness. Now, if I think back currently where we find ourselves in the current political situation in South Africa, was corruption, facing us on all levels, from the very top, which is very pointy, from the president right down, to the Joseph in the street. So for me, when I think, did my father die in vain? I would say, sometimes I would think yes, out of anger, but I would say no, because we can still draw lessons from our martyrs. There's the late Steve Biko, Robert Sobukwe, Chief Albert Luthuli. These are our martyrs. These are the people that we need to exemplify. But the lesson in the next 2 weeks would be, as I said before, for the future. But if any future generation want to do some kind of research on our father, the process that they will go through is that, I would say the conclusion they will find, if they, whatever they do research in, however, that he never fell down a flight of stairs and died. By this hearing, we feel confident that the judge will rule what we want, the 1970 inquest to be overturned, what the magistrate said, that they can't be held responsible. We want the judge to overturn the ruling of 1970. We want that. In fact, all of those people who were part of the apartheid system, whether they were advocates, whether they were magistrates, whether, they should be stripped of all the titles. Really, they should be stripped. They should not.
Okay.
Should not.
Fatima, can I just come in here? I'm going to I've just asked my production team if we can give you another 5 minutes more, because there's so much to unpack here. And this is such an important time in not only the life of the Haron family, but for all of us Muslims here in South Africa. We want the truth and we are behind you. We're going to take a short ad break. We'll be back with you, but let me leave you with this comment, and then you can respond to it right after the ad break. We understand that the Foundation for Human Rights lawyer, that is the director of the Foundation for Human Rights, and that is Yasmin Suka, has gone on to say that the organization's private investigation retrieved the original docket, the inquest record, traced and identified potential witnesses, and in addition to all of that, which makes your case very, very strong, inshallah. In addition to all of this, a pathologist and a simulation expert are also expected to testify. So let's go for that ad break. Keep this in mind, and you can respond to me right after, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
South Africa, are you ready? Penny Appeal South Africa is proud to announce, for the first time in South Africa, For Good Tour featuring Saeed, Rehan Karim, Muad and friends, coming to your city in November 2022.
I'm grateful for every single thing you've given me.
Cape Town, 19th of November. Johannesburg, 20th of November. Durban, 26th of November. Get your tickets via Quicket while seats are available. Proceeds in aid of Children of the World Project. Contact 031 1100 573 or email info@pennyappeal.org.za. See you there. For Good Tour, brought to you by Penny Appeal South Africa.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:54 a.m. I am talking with Fatima Haron Masood, daughter of the late Imam Abdullah Haron, whom we know was murdered in custody by the apartheid police way back. And of course, after waiting for 53 years for the truth regarding the death of anti-apartheid activist Imam Abdullah Haron in police custody, the reopened inquest is expected to shed light and sadly to hear the chilling evidence when obviously it sits today, starting at 10 o'clock in the Cape Town High Court. Fatima, assalamu alaikum, welcome back.
Walaikum salam. Thank you.
Okay, so carry on. I did leave you with a couple of comments before we took the ad break.
Yeah. Basically, you were dealing with the original documents identification. You also spoke about the pathologist expert, also to testify, and like the hard evidence. Yes, again, as I said to you, one of the things was that one of the evidence was, I would say, for now, is that the letters had to, if it wasn't for my father who had the consciousness of wanting to write a letter and smuggle it out of prison, we would never have known up until today about what the situation was like. But that is one of the evidence as well when you wrote upon it. Yes, secondly, yes, the perpetrators that now tortured him to death are no longer alive. That is gemis and ontwek. But of course, they were not the only ones behind the torture. So there are many others that probably are still alive or hiding somewhere in dark corners of Africa. I don't know, Allahu Alam, we know this, but we don't know by this case what is going to unearth in the next 2 weeks when the evidence are presented, not only in court but to the nation. And then thirdly, yes, the pathologist and that pathologist to really look at his 26 bruises and trying to unearth like how it all came about. Sadly, at that time, you must remember, everything in terms of the inquest was all in favor of the state. So whether you were the pathologist, whether you were the prosecutor, whether you were the magistrate, whatever the findings was in favor of the state. For us, this particular time, of course, also the witnesses, yes, there are 1 or 2 or 3 witnesses who were tortured under the hands of Khanis and Tanbek that will be giving first-hand evidence on that as well. And then my siblings, my brother, who was 13 years old then, he was witness to my father's body when it came home after he was brutally murdered. Of course, before it came home, before when it came home, so he was witness to that. My sister, of course, was in England at that time. Just as I said before, after she was in London, just a few months after that, my father was arrested. So it was, my mother said she should rather not come home because they would definitely arrest her if she should land on the soil of South Africa. So she then stayed, and up until today, she's made England her home. And I would say, fourthly, in terms of the findings, the evidence, all the experts that will testify, I'm hopeful that Judge Ulari would consider all of these facts in front of him. They're going to be enlarging post-mortem in the size of a human size, so we can see exactly where the bruises were. It's just a pity. It would have been great if Salam Media could have been present at 1 or 2 of these inquests. I know you're far out in Johannesburg.
It can still happen, inshallah. There's 2 weeks to go, so let's see if we can make a plan.
Yeah, you need to you need to get hold of the inquest schedule, which I will forward to you, so
inshallah,
you can see which day is, what we're going to be doing on which day, so that you can make a plan on that. But going forward, we find ourselves that we want justice before peace. We believe
inshallah,
that,
inshallah. Fatima, let me come in here. May I come in here, please? Yes. I understand the reason why the Haron family did not take part in the TRC process. Will you explain to our listeners, those who are still asking that question, why is it that the Haron family did not take part in the TRC process?
Well, we were much younger then. When my mother was left destitute, homeless, and husbandless, I mean homeless. I will tell you why homeless. When my father was killed, he never made a will. And then the state informed my mother that we are the legitimate children, that we have no right to the house. So they had to sell the house. So the money had to be distributed to the family, to his siblings. But that aside, why I'm saying this, my mother was found on the street, homeless, husbandless, and she had to carry on. She, of course, went to her mother, who already had a home full of her daughter-in-law and son and children living there. But be that as it may, my mother was strong in character. She was a powerful woman in her own right. She was a very quiet woman. She took the back seat in the community. She never wanted to be outspoken or speak about it, but she did speak about it in her house. So while I'm saying this, sorry, I just lost my train of thought now.
The reason why the family didn't take part in the TRC process.
Okay, yeah, the TRC. So then she always said, and then when with the new dispensation coming forth and everybody, being very part and involved in bringing about change, she always said, like I said before, Allah will deal with them. Allah will sort them out. Allah will deal with the perpetrators. But she said, if you go to the TRC, she said there are hundreds and hundreds of cases. Do you think that they are going to make, she said, every case that goes to the TRC is important. No one's case should take precedence over the other. Every matter is important because every family that's there has lost a loved one, no matter how. They were brutally tortured, murdered, or they just disappeared without a trace, or their body parts were found all over the country. So she said to us, I don't have my full trust in this TRC because this government is new. We don't know what political agreement they've done behind the scenes. And I must say to you, My mother was no, with respect to my mother, political fundi or knowledgeable about many things, but she had the wisdom of Solomon in terms of saying to us, and I was, but mommy, we should do that. She said, no. She said, no. You know, the truth will prevail someday of how long is this TRC going to be going up? You know, how long will the process of this TRC carry on? She said, there are too many cases, unknown cases and known cases. And you know, years later, up till today, we find ourselves. Her wisdom carried through until she was right. She was right in her own, because we couldn't fathom and understand how she would think like that. What gave her that to say that nothing will come out of these TRC cases? And she was absolutely right. She said, you know, one day justice will be served. Be patient. That is what she said. Tawakkal. Put your trust in Allah. She said, your father was committed in spirit and in making sure to seek the truth. She said, he died, he gave up his life, you know, for the sake of this country. So
Absolutely.
learn from him. She said, I might not have known, she said, as my mother, she said, I might not have known everything he did outside of our home. But one thing I can assure you, that he was committed, he was honest, he had moral accreditation, he had value for life and for all human beings. He looked across the barrier of religion as well as color. So he was not just an imam to preach and, you know, and expect people to believe and listen to what he had said. He was also their friend. He never feared people by his presence of an imam. He loved people. So he had that unbelievable character. My mother always said that he was a very humorous person. Very humorous. He would crack a joke many often, but he would also be serious as well. But she said, what he died with a consciousness of knowing that he'll take his truth with him to the grave. He will never, ever, and that comes out in the letters, he will never, ever divulge his comrades.
Okay. Fatima, that's absolutely, truly, I find what you shared with us very gripping this morning. We've got to wrap up. We are with the Haron family throughout the inquest, in thought, in spirit. We may not be there in presence, but very definitely there in thought and spirit, inshallah. Keep strong. Just remember what we've said. Just know that we are behind you. And I hope and pray, inshallah, there's a book that's going to come out of all of this to document the life of your amazing father and how he touched lives and the difference he has made to the emancipation of us as South Africans. Shukran for being with us on the show this morning.
If your listeners have any family members living in Cape Town, please encourage them, young and old, to come to it's an open court. You don't have to pay. You just come in and you sit in court and you listen. You know why I'm saying this? Not because I want to see hundreds of people in the court. It's because you need to take a lesson. We've got to learn from this. We need to put it back to our children so that they can also learn what it's like to be sitting in an inquest or in a court of law and listening to the truth being unfolded right in your front of your eyes. It's historical. And as I said, this is not only for us as a family, this is for our entire nation.
Inshallah.
And for the world to look upon.
Ameen. Ameen thumma ameen. Go. Strength to you, my dear sister. Just know we are behind you. We are with you. Go well, and salamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
5 after 9 o'clock exactly. That was Fatima Haron Masood, daughter of the late Imam Abdullah Haron, talking from the heart about the reopening of the inquest into her father's death after waiting for 53 years for the truth regarding the death of anti-apartheid activist Imam Abdullah Haron in police custody. Strength to the family and to us as a Muslim community. Let's stand firmly behind this family and let the truth prevail, inshallah. 6 after 9, news and views right here on Salam Media.